Boom, boom. Man, rap music is really good right now. Shout out to Razkaz, and I think we'll go ahead and drop that. But Razkaz album Gutter, oh my goodness. This whole album is crazy. And like I say, you gotta go ahead and cop that. Everything is Gutter. Has on there Roll with Cali featuring Method Man and them. Then you got Bardem on here, which I listen to that every day. Oh my goodness. Lo-fi, I rock with that one hardcore. And I ain't gonna lie to you, everything is Gutter with Corrupt. That Stop Playing with Raekwon, and oh my goodness. Just again, Razkaz, everything is Gutter. That whole LP is wild. But we gonna keep cooking in our sports bag for a minute. So we just left the Indianapolis Colts trying to fake it with Anthony Richardson and him saying the same lip service about his surgically repaired shoulder, how it's sore, but I can play. Get out of here, bro. Then we talked about Mike Tomlin getting paid. And then we talked about all the hate that Jason Tatum is getting when he's been a model of consistency and he's had the same game consistently throughout the playoffs, and how this dude is struggling, but he's averaging a double-double this whole playoff series run from round one all the way to the NBA Finals. I don't get it. However, we are still going to stay in the National Football League, and we got CJ Stroud out here pump faking. And he's talking about his top 5 QBs, which set off a little bit of a firestorm. I don't know if it's a firestorm. I just call it fake outrage. And when I go back and I look at it, I just like, okay, so CJ Stroud was 1,000% correct in what he was talking about. Now, him being 1,000% correct, he was asked who were his top 5. Now, this is on the $1 Million Worth of Game, Wallow and Skip. Again, I apologize because I haven't really seen the episode. However, I've just seen bits and pieces and stuff like that. So don't hold it against me. I just haven't gotten around to it. He was asked who were his top 5 quarterbacks, and he goes Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, himself, Dak Prescott, and Jalen Hurtz. Now look at that list right there. What's one of the things that stands out? Right. But if that was his opinion, why did he need to change it? Also, in the piece, the way that Brian Diardo is carrying on, it's like he wants him to do a hit job on Dak Prescott. And to that, I just have to say, hey, look, man, grow up. Because a lot of these people are dealing with Dallas hate. And it's abuse from the 90s. Let's just go ahead and put all our cards on the table. Back when John Madden and Pat Summerall, a snooze fest, 2 of the most boring individuals ever, were covering the NFL and being color commentary, they would do these Dallas Cowboy games. And Dallas, love them or hate them, the Dallas Cowboys was really that good. Troy Aikman, Michael Irvin, Emmitt Smith. Then you had Moose Johnston that was out there. You had all of these dudes. Then it didn't help Deion Sanders went to Dallas as well. Dallas from San Francisco. It was like, wow, this dude was, everybody hated the Cowboys because they were always on. And then they were on Thanksgiving. And it's just, these guys are abused. They just don't know how to handle it. And anytime you start, it just I would say it reintroduced the fan base to hate when Tony Romo was the quarterback, because you would hear all of this stuff about Tony Romo. And it was just like, Dallas didn't win anything. And Dak has won more playoff games than Tony Romo. What? And we'll get into this a little bit more when we come back from a quick 20 from an unofficial sponsor of the show. This is Big Vern at App Stupid. Drop the spot. Yes, Little Caesar, pizza. Order online, download the app, or visit the good people at your local Little Caesars. Little Caesars, pizza. So when we last left off, CJ Stroud, he put that on his Instagram. And then he started pump faking out here for these people. He started pump faking out here to appease them folks. And he started talking about Josh Allen, and he dropped Jalen Hurtz. And you put that dude who's never played in a Super Bowl or broke any records along the way in a Super Bowl runner-up. Come on now. And Hurts played hurt last year. He clearly needed to sit down, and they kept playing him. But why was CJ out here pump faking to appease those folks? Then he threw in Joe Burrow. Really? I wonder why this only happens to black quarterbacks. I mean, I'm just going to come out and say it. You know, like they never asked Joe Burrow one time about CJ Stroud. But CJ got to issue a restatement. Josh Allen has never played or been asked a question about CJ Stroud. Somehow, he's got to be included in his top 5. Come on, man. This dude ain't in nobody's top 5. And he gave you the 5 guy he respects. And I look at that 5 and I'm just like, that's a pretty solid list. But out of nowhere, he got to put 2 guys in there to quiet the closet racist and the biggest assholes. He got to go ahead and appease them and stick 2 guys in there that don't belong in there. And when you go back and you look at the 2023 season and you want to look at Dak Prescott's numbers, that's where I knew that this had nothing to do with any kind of felt touch with reality. Because if we were going by numbers, because they use stats, people use stats to lift you up and then they use stats to tear you down. But when it works in that favor of lifting you up, they don't know how to deal with that. Last year, Dak Prescott had 4,516 passing yards. Trevor Lawrence didn't have that. Josh Allen didn't have that. Let me be clear. Trevor Lawrence didn't have those numbers. Josh Allen didn't have those numbers. Herbert, out in Charger land, he didn't have those numbers. 36 touchdowns, 9 interceptions, with a QBR of 105.9. And for a lot of people dealing with denial, I was saying when the season was going on before you got to the postseason and Lamar Jackson just ran away. If Lamar Jackson doesn't have the year that he had, Dak Prescott is hands down. He's hands down the league MVP. Because even if you have the naysayers that says, okay, look at that Green Bay game where he threw 2 interceptions. Yeah, you know who else threw 2 interceptions that weekend? Joe Flacco, the dude that the media was lifting up, ESPN. And then they had the nerve to fix their mouth and saying Cleveland didn't even need Deshaun Watson. Are you out of your damn mind? Joe Flacco had the worst game ever, and he reminded everybody why he is Joe Flacco. Again, you can say whatever you want. It just doesn't have to be true. And that wasn't true at all. So now when you look at these numbers, and by the way, in that same Green Bay game, he threw 2 touchdowns. Yeah, a lot of people they won't tell you about that one. They won't tell you about that one. It was, oh, you seen that they went ahead and did this thing where Dak, he threw all of these interceptions and blah, 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 blah. Yeah, he threw the interceptions. I mean, hell, that's all Mike McCarthy kept doing was airing stuff out. But you go back and you look at that Green Bay game, and everybody's like, oh, well, that was a debacle. That's what happened, blah, blah, blah. He outplayed Jordan Love. They had the same amount of touchdowns. But he was 41 of 60. 60 times he had to put the ball in the air. That Dan Quinn defense and all of the bluster, it wasn't worth them getting a stop. Had the Cowboys gotten at least 3 stops, the way Dak was putting that ball in the air, they would have won that game. They would have won that game. CJ Stroud didn't need to do any pump faking and try and take people off the list. There's no way you can put Josh Allen on that list. None. Again, in that same game where he threw 2 interceptions, he had 403 yards through the air, 3 touchdowns. He also ran for 45 yards with an average of 7.5 yards a carry on 6 attempts. Come on, man. Stop. We got to let that Dallas abuse go. We got to stop talking about this dude like Dak is the worst thing since sliced bread. Because if Josh Allen had these numbers that Dak had, they would be talking about how the team is a number 1 contender. Yep, that's what they would be doing. That's exactly what they would be doing. If Herbert had those numbers, they would be talking about how he is the quarterback of the future. He's revolutionized the game. Let's just stop it with the BS. I was a little hurt that CJ Stroud felt that he had to go back and backtrack himself for some reason. He had to go ahead and make it so he wouldn't get attacked by people who never played football to begin with. And if we're going on that 2023 season, he's absolutely right. Patrick Mahomes, the reigning and defending Super Bowl champion. Lamar Jackson, Superman, who's blockbuster. He's the reason that they're carrying Baltimore games and other markets. Himself, because he's got a team that is no schlub. Dak had a hell of a year. And until he fell apart, at the end, until Dallas defense let him down, that's what he was looking at. And Jalen Hurtz. That's a hell of a list. And he did not need to revise that. This is Big Vern at App Stupid. We still got some more content to drop. I'll be back.